Are you ready for yet another Nars release? It has been only a minute, quite literally. I did one on Mother's Day with my mom, if you guys remember. And then a few weeks after that, I did one. Mother's Day was only in May. Here it is, middle to late June, and I've got a third. This is the most new Nars releases I've had in so long. So you're going to see all 4 of them. I've got 4 different new products from Nars. You're going to see them all here today with me, Rebecca. I'm a 20-year plus veteran of the fashion and beauty journalism scene. I have worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, and I found it not fit for print beauty here to have a little sort of beauty magazine that you can kind of figuratively flip through every day or so here on YouTube. Hey, I'm having some trouble sometimes finding the replies. When I reply to you, you guys know I'm real active with my community. When I reply to you, if you need to reply back, start another comment if it's real important, because I'm having some trouble. I don't find some of them lately. People are telling me they're not getting my replies to their replies. But I always get the first comments, or generally, unless YouTube's messing with them. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about these 4 products. These are the 4 brand new Nars Light Reflecting Prismatic Powders. I get excited when it's a new Nars campaign. I love the packaging. I always love the way they emboss the shades. I am really a sucker for all things Nars. It's true. So we have 2 setting or finishing powders. We'll talk about what we're going to do with those. And we have an eyeshadow quad and a blush. Now, I try to have a little bit of restraint, you guys. Even though I am purchasing for review, for work, so to speak, sometimes I do have to hold myself back. And I didn't know whether to get the, well, I'm holding them both so you know the answer to this. I didn't know whether to get the Prismatic pressed powder or the Prismatic loose powder. Well, I guess I don't have to tell you. I got both. I think the pressed powder was a little bit more editorial and fun to review, but I love a good loose powder. Is anyone else, put in comments, is anyone else here a sucker for a good loose powder? Yeah, I like them too. So I got both, and we're going to talk about those. I also got the Light Reflecting Quad in Osaka. These say on the outside, with love from Francois Nars. So some people they are the Light Reflecting Quad, but some people are calling it the With Love Quad. And the Reflecting Blush, also the With Love, or the Light Reflecting Blush in the shade Sex Appeal. We're going to talk all about that. All 4 of these products are limited edition. When Nars says limited edition, they kind of mean it. What they mean, not necessarily the shade. These shades come in and out. These are all ones you've seen before if you're a fan of Nars. But they won't have them together in this way and packaged this way. They do tend to retire those. Okay, let's start talking about them here. As I told you, I got the pressed and the loose powder. These powders are going on the theory that lavender shades and lavender pigments combat dullness and help brighten the skin. Boy, we have been through it with the colors of the powders, haven't we? Pretty much my whole life, all powder, except for something really special, setting or finishing powder, was translucent. Sometimes a little bit of coverage. But starting last summer, when we had that Barbie pink summer, everything was pink, right? And pink brightened. And now I'm seeing apricot. Givenchy is coming out with a pressed powder in these lavender shades. So, you know, when they got the green pressed powder to combat redness, you know that's got to be coming. So anyway, this is that feeling. Here it is. This has a little bit of apricot in it from Nars to kind of balance it out. And on all of these, if my camera isn't picking up the prettiness of the swirl, if so, when I'm editing, I'll insert a press photo from Nars. This is $42, and the shade is called Interstellar. It is limited edition. And again, like I said, Givenchy is going to release one too, except theirs doesn't have all the apricots and stuff in it to maybe mellow it out a little bit. And the Prismatic loose powder, also $42. The shade is called Milky Way. So they are a little bit of a different shade, also limited edition. The compact here is that typical kind of softer. It's still a hard case, but it feels soft, Nars. And on this, we have a little stopper here to stop it from going all over the place, and then a net. I don't know how you feel about the netting for loose powder. This is not one I'm really going to swatch too much because you can't see it. It's brightening, but it's essentially transparent. But it does look to me like this Milky Way loose powder, which I just got all over myself, is a little bit more reflective than the Interstellar pressed powder. If I swirl around there, it looks like the Interstellar is a little bit more matte. I don't know. That could kind of be in my head. I don't know. We'll take the others out, but this isn't really it's a setting and a finishing powder. What do you use what for? What setting? What finishing? We're going to talk all about that in the demo. Don't worry about it. Ingredients: pressed top, loose bottom. Have you joined our Facebook group? You know, it's free. We've got this Facebook community that you can join and chat. Helen is running it over there. It's really fun. It's all community members from this channel, and I come in and chat too, talking about fun things, makeup organization. We'd love to see you over there. Information is down below. We also have a membership group here for less than $5 a month that I run, and we have lives every Friday. We'd love to see you there too. That's always below. Shopping is below, all that stuff. All right, the light reflecting blush is limited edition. This is in the shade Sex Appeal. It has been done. It's got this gorgeous hot pink packaging. I love Nars packaging, and I hope it picks up. If not, I will include it. We got our Nars embossed all over it. I bet I'm gonna have to include that. This is an interesting one, limited edition, though we've seen the shade before, so the packaging is limited edition. If you have, no matter what your skin tone is, I want you to see this. This is interesting. I'm wearing it now, but I've doctored it a bit, so stick around for that. It's coming up in a moment in the demo, okay? We're gonna swatch that in two different lights. Speaking of swatching in two different lights, we have our light reflecting quad, or also called the With Love quad, in this pretty packaging. No, it's not February. Don't check your calendar. I got confused too. Here it is in shades 1 through 4 of Osaka. It's a beloved shade from Nars that's been done before. This is kind of a fun one. Wait for the swatches. It's neutral, and I'm going to talk to you about it with regard to two of the Nars reviews I kind of just did, the St. Paul de Vence and the Coron. This is a little bit more, I think, interesting of neutral shades. This shade here has many different shifts to it. This one right here. And they're kind of satiny, and I don't know, I think they're a little bit more interesting. Frankly, if you're looking at investing in a Nars quad just for travel, I think this is my favorite of the three. But I'm not going to do any huge comparisons. I tend to do those over on Instagram. So if you need that, just let me know down below or on Instagram, and I'll hook you up for sure. Freeze the frame for the blush ingredients and the eye quad ingredients. Okay. All right. Speaking of, let's look at some swatches in two different lights. Here we are first in studio lighting, laid out as they are in the quad. We have the light reflecting Osaka quad, and then all the way towards my wrist, you will see the light reflecting blush in the shade Sex Appeal. Look at that there. And don't worry if you can't see it well, because we're about to go outside into the warm California sunshine. Now take a look, and now you'll see it. There's that light reflecting quad. And then towards my wrist, we have the Sex Appeal shade in the blush, which is very highlighty. It's light reflecting after all. And true to the name of all of these products, I do think they play with light, and they're really pretty, including, I know I said that the pressed powder seemed a bit more matte. Probably the wrong word choice. They all reflect and pick up light, but I think maybe a little more matte than the loose powder. You could probably challenge me on that. I would back down. I don't know how firm I am on that assertion, but it feels like it to me. All right, I want to go now to the demo so we can put together this look, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this kind of lavender, purpley powders that we're seeing. Interesting. I can't leave well enough alone with these dark powders. All right, let's see what you think. Take a moment, make sure that you're subscribed, as it's a great help to me. And here we go with the demo. Okay, this is a Nars lip called Joyride. All of that stuff will be linked in the description bar for your purchasing pleasure. And always where I can on screen, we're using, that will be over here, we're using YouTube Shopping for that. And you know, it's relatively new, so sometimes it doesn't have everything. But there always is a complete list down below. Okay, I have just my complexion done in the lip. So I'm going to do two things here with our light reflecting prismatic powders. It seems to me, I was playing with them and taking them in the light. I don't know if I trust my own eyes, but maybe it's because it's pressed, but it feels to me like this is a bit more matte, the pressed version, and this is a little bit more glowing. Maybe just because it's lighter. I mean, the shades they have different names, right? This is Interstellar, and this is Milky Way. So we're going to use Interstellar, the pressed powder, just to do the powdering I would normally do, and we'll see if it brightens. I have a rougher number 27 here, and let me just try it under one eye. I'm going to swirl into all the shades. That little bit of apricot in it should bring it down to earth and make it look a little bit less pale, because we want bright, not pale. So let me just do the whole eye. I definitely see the purple when it's on the eye. Let me just zoom you in. So this eye, I spread it all over quite liberally because I'm on camera and I want you to see it. The whole idea here is that not that I gently use the products, right? This eye has some concealer and some foundation a little bit, maybe from the brush. I can see the purple, can you? But does it look brighter? Okay, how about around my nose and stuff? I'm really swirling. I definitely see it. I wonder what this would do to certain skin tones. Use it under. All right, let's do the other side now. This whole side has this kind of purplish. And we're really going to town because we're going to use the other. So this I'm using right now as a setting powder. And it doesn't say whether these are setting or finishing. And, you know, there's no rules when it comes to makeup. But generally, and I do try to say this whenever I can on this channel, so thank you for bearing with me. Generally, a setting powder is to set down your makeup at this point, meaning that generally your lip wouldn't be on, but, you know, meaning that your foundation, concealer, color corrector is on, and you're just setting it. A finishing powder will come back to the loose powder. The finishing powder would be for when everything is finished and you're just going to buff away any sort of lines or differentiations between shades. Okay. For me, this, I don't know. My issue is that I get a bit bluish and purplish here. So in my dark pits of despair. So I don't know what I think yet. I'll actually see more when I edit it, to be honest, and when I hear what you guys think. But that's on me. Okay, and the reason I have this Joyride, this kind of orange lip going, is that we have kind of an apricot-y shade here in these two new light reflecting products, the Quad and the blush. So let's look at the light reflecting Quad in Osaka 1 through 4. And that's right here. And you have seen these swatched already. I am testing out some prototype brushes that I just want to give some feedback on. So you'll have to remain in the dark about these. You'll know soon enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here in our Osaka shades 1 through 4. And I'm just going to put that all over the eye. Oh, isn't that pretty? And I think I will run it under a little bit. That's pretty, right? I'm going to try to use all 4 shades. That was the first shade. Let me take this brush here and go into this deepest, darkest shade and just kind of do the outer portion of the eye with that. And underneath a little bit. Oh, this is a pretty one. I actually think I prefer this to the St. Paul de Vence, which we had the Lunar New Year version of, and then the repackaged version of it just quite recently, and that's still available. I actually do prefer this a little bit. There was also the Korong palette, but it didn't have any sort of satins. I think this has a little bit more of an interplay of different types of finishes, and I prefer it if you're looking for a Nars neutral type of palette. I think this is prettier. Sticking with this same prototype brush, I'm going to go across the lid with this here. And last but not least, right into the corner, inner corner, with this really pretty golden shade. Put some on my finger here. That's kind of duochrome too. It's got a little bit of pink to it. Yeah, I really think this beats. The other day I looked at, like I said, 2 palettes, Corong and St. Paul de Vence. Corong is completely matte, and St. Paul de Vence has kind of a glitter topper. This has duochrome, satin. This is much prettier, and I think a little bit more interesting. Personally, I think it's a little bit more interesting in terms of a neutral palette. Okay, so that's the eyes, and they almost go pink with that duochrome, if you can see that on it. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten that loose finishing powder yet. I want to use that for finishing. Okay, so here is our blush, and this is the also limited edition in the packaging, the shade Sex Appeal. This is really pale. I don't know if I've tried Nars Sex Appeal before. I must have. It is almost on me even. I'm a light, medium, neutral, and even on me, this is less of a blush and more of a highlight, to be totally honest. So who would this be a blush for? This would be a highlight for anyone really medium and up, and it would be a blush for our fair friends. And you know, it's interesting because when you have a deep skin tone, it's really hard to find inclusive shades. And the same goes for the fairest on the spectrum of skin shades as well. So this would be a really pretty blush for those who are fair. I, as I said, am a pretty definitive light medium, and it's really kind of a highlight on me. It's very pretty, and it's not too blingy of a highlight, which is actually kind of nice, but it's a highlight. It doesn't really look like I have a cheek color on. It doesn't, does it? Like I almost need to put a little taps of this lipstick on there just to have a little bit more color. I'm looking a little bit pale, I think, actually. In fact, let's do that. I just think I'm not doing the look justice because this is, watch out for this. It's very light. Stay right there. I'm sure you saw the wheels in my head turning. Let's do that. Again, showing you that you can use color anywhere you want. This is not, I repeat, not a cheek color, so it'll stain a little bit. So I need to move a little faster than I just did. This is the lip color, but I just needed to give a little something. It will stain. This is not a cheek color. Okay, now we have just a little bit of something down there, and just a little something down there. And now I feel a little bit better about adding this, because if not, it's going to be too highlighty. So if you've ordered this already and you're my skin tone or deeper, you got yourself a highlighter. But I just added what I put on the lip. You just got to move fast because, you know, it's going to stain. It's a lip. Okay, now when I do a finishing powder, when I'm going to set the face, I like to use a flat style kabuki brush. This is Sonia G. And I'm going to go in circles and buff, okay? I love loose powder. If you want to buff and set with the pressed powder that I used to set, if you want to use that as a finishing powder instead, that's fine. And if you want to set with this, that's fine. There's no rules. To me, this just comes off as a little bit more pearlescent, and I like that. I like a little bit more matte just when I'm setting under my eyes, and I like it to be a little bit more glowy when I'm using it as a finishing product over all of my makeup. It's personal choice though, okay? Let's see. Lifting up the lid here so it doesn't get everywhere. And I'm gonna put it on my, let's see if this makes me look like a zombie or not. We'll do one side of the face. Okay, I definitely am seeing that pink lilac shade. So a little goes a long way. Again, I am putting it onto the brush and buffing in circular motions. I'm not pulling my skin or anything like that. What do you think of this new lilac? Boy, we've had pink, we've had apricot. Does this brighten every skin tone, or is it going to make some of us look like literally the Walking Dead? I look like that enough these days without having any cosmetics help it. Okay, what do you think? So this side now, I finished with it. I could do a lot more buffing than that. You should still be able to see all the other makeup just fine. Let me take a look. Oh, I do think it brightened. I do think it brightened. I don't know. Okay. I got some thoughts. Let me just do the other side, and then let me share my thoughts with you, because I do have some thoughts. I don't know if this would be the color I would choose for a setting powder, okay? When I put it on my eyes, I'm always trying to avoid that kind of purple blue cast on my eyes, and I saw it. I mean, I don't think it did not brighten, but I was a little bit like, oh God, I don't really think I want to add purplish lilac under my eyes. Like, that's not something I'm trying to encourage under the eyes. So I don't know if for me it would be a great setting powder, but I think it's a finishing powder. And again, you could use loose or pressed for setting or finished. You could interchange. But as a finishing powder, after all my makeup was done and I was buffing it in just to get rid of any lines or anything, I actually kind of like it. I do see it brightening then. And it's actually quite pretty. I think Nars makes a nice powder. So that's for me. So who would want then to use this as setting powder? Who wouldn't mind seeing this kind of lilac under the eyes? Some people get maybe like a little bit of a yellow under the eyes. So that would work. A deep set under the eyes and they need it brightening and brought out. That would help. But if you tend to go bluish red, purplish red like me, I don't think it's hurt me using it under the eyes. Certainly not. I don't know if it would be our first choice, but you can weigh in down below on what you think. If your eyes do tend to go yellow or they feel a bit sunken in, dark, and you need them to kind of come up and brighten, if you're just brightening, that would be great. But for me, I'm brightening, but I'm also trying to get rid of those kind of darker staining almost under the eyes. But it hasn't hurt me. It's not like, oh, Rebecca, your dark pits of despair look so much worse today or anything. It's certainly a pretty face of makeup. So it is something else to experiment with. If you're getting sick of all the pink, 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 pink that we had last summer, maybe this will be the purple summer. But I'm seeing apricot from one size and stuff already anyway. So very pretty products. Again, that's my thoughts. So that's my thoughts on the powders. And Givenchy is coming out with one as well. And in terms of my thoughts on the palettes, yes, I prefer this to the Korong and to the St. Paul de Vence that I just reviewed. I just think it's just a little bit more multidimensional and pretty and kind of wants to say neutral, but can go a little apricot, a little pink at the same time. I just think it has a little more interest. And on the blush, again, you're anything a little deeper than a light medium, you got yourself a big old pretty highlighter. Subtle highlighter, but a highlighter nonetheless. Subtle though. Okay, those are my thoughts. What are yours? I love new Nars releases. I think they're really, really fun. But I would love to know what you guys think. Hey, please make sure that you subscribe here and share and like. And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.